Hey YouTube, Mike here. How we all doing today? Hope we all had a very good week. All right, today I'm actually gonna answer a very popular question that I get a lot about my vacuum system and what I use for the SawStop. You hear it go on, and I know I've explained it before and I've showed it on the shop tour, but I get at least 2 a week, email or in a comment. You know, what do I use? They see the Festool vacuums, but you know, what else do I use? So I'm going to just give a quick show on what I use for the table saw and what I use for the miter saw and my outer machines. And I'm also going to go over what I feel out of 5 shops that I've had, what I feel is the best piping and fitting system to use for the vacuum. All right, so let me take the camera off and I'll show you as quick what I use for, wait a second here. Okay, flip this around. All right, you all hear me turn it on, but I use a 1 3/4 horsepower Rikon vacuum. It's a canister. Basically, it has a 4-inch urethane hose that goes to an elbow, a blast gate with a 4x2 Y that goes up to the overarm dust extractor. And then the blast gate that's on the overarm dust extractor is closed halfway and has a screw in it so it doesn't vibrate. So it gives a little bit less suction for the overarm, which helps actually the dust go through the overarm and gives perfect suction from the 4-inch into the canister. I did not figure this out. I actually got it from somebody off of YouTube. Okay, I have a 2 horsepower Cyclone jet, Vortex, sorry, jet with the pleated filter. I have a Y fitting with a blast gate, and it is hard, but when I take this out to clean it, I'll do a video on it. But I have a Y fitting that comes to the outlet port of my bandsaw. Then I have my 4-inch line that goes up to my first Y, down to a blast gate, and it's this 10-foot hose with, I have different adapter fittings from 2.5-inch to 4-inch depending on what I'm using, whether it be the planer, the joiner, the sanders, the router table, the small router. Then it continues above my garage to a Y. It has a urethane cap on it, and then a 2.5-inch flex hose that goes down to another blast gate, and that's for my Capex saw. And eventually, if I ever get to it, I would like to use that outlet, which I have up in the attic, a floor sweep, so I can just sweep it to that 12-inch little box and get sucked up into the vacuum system. I do have to service the jet, so then I'll show you what I use for all right, let me just get this set. Okay, so my first shop I tried metal. Had an AC guy that was able to get me to spiral pipe, but you have to heavily ground that. It dents very easily. You do get a bit of static electricity even with the grounded, because it's metal, and it is expensive. Being a plumber, and there was no YouTube at the time, I figured to use PVC pipe. So I started with regular Schedule 40 PVC pipe. So it was foam core, not for pressure, and they make the pressure pipe that they use for lawn sprinklers instead of water mains. But I started with this because I had it, and I used regular plumbing fittings. But and I glued it just like I was doing a plumbing job. Well, it worked nice, but it's a nightmare to take it apart and add something to it. So, and I only used the urethane hoses to go from the blast gate to the machine. And I used metal blast gates too. And it was a hell of a time to try to adapt them. So what I ended up seeing in a shop and then saying, whoa, that's great, is to use, and you know, tons of guys on other YouTubers and shops use what they call SDR 35. It is underground sewer pipe. So it's basically, if you got a fairly new house, this is what your poop is going through when it goes out into the city sewer. That's it. These fittings. So, and you see the difference. It's schedule 20 pipe. If you look at the difference, now this is 3-inch. I didn't have a piece of 4-inch short enough to get here. So if you can see the difference, schedule 40, schedule 20. Very, very inexpensive. Just to give you an idea, this 45 is $1.47. So do the math. It's very cheap. So basically, I have used, now this is a short run. I didn't bring it over to my table saw. My last house, my other shop, which was the same size, I had it running like an octopus throughout the garage. I figured this was the best way, separate. So, SDR 35, they sell them in 10-foot lengths, they sell them in 20-foot lengths. The beauty about an SDR pipe too, it has an integral hub. So you could basically connect long lengths of pipe. Now I'm not going to push these in, and they are a little, but as you can see, you can connect pieces of pipe together without a coupling. So that's one less joint. Remember, every joint, not good, not sealed well, you get air loss. You get suction loss, not air loss. So basically, it comes with a coupling. So you get them in 10-footers and they come in 20-footers. Now, the fittings. I actually have used the elbows, 45s, that were the the vacuum fittings you get from Woodcraft. I had a ton of them from my third shop. So I just reused them. I had them in a box. I keep them in boxes like this. And as you can see, this is just my 2.5-inch and 2-inch. I have tons of them, so I use them. So this is a wide fitting. Now, the beauty about the SDR pipe, opposed to using either metal or they actually make pipe, and hose, using hose, well, for one, it's going to droop, which is pockets for the dust to collect in and chips. With the SDR, nice and smooth inside, because remember, this is conveying water and your waste out to the sewer with pitch. It's very smooth inside. It's specifically designed so that it conveys the stuff real quick, whether it be the interior pipe or the exterior pipe. So, with the pipe and the fittings, all right, to connect this to another fitting of the same style, the black polymer, you need a coupling. So you would need some type of either their coupling or use of a coupling. With SDR pipe, the pipe fits right over the fitting, making a nice sealed joint. A little bit of silicone, or I use Gorilla Tape, tighten really good. All that silicone tape will give a nice vacuum sealed joint. Now, the same with blast gates. Blast gates also. So let's just say you're going to use an outlet. You run your pipe along, you have it strapped up against the wall, and we're going to go over straps. You can take what they call a street fitting. So basically it's a fitting. Now this is a 45, street 45, this is a 45. Hub, so female, male. So they basically made to go together. So you can take your run, put your fitting on, and you can now put your pipe, and of course without the hub, your blast gate, then your hose to the fitting, excuse me, to the tool. Okay, the fittings. The fittings that you'll basically need. Now you can use SDR-Ys. Don't use T-Ys, which are basically just T's. You want to use a Y, because everything you want to do, you want a nice, smooth transition. All right? You don't want this type of elbow. This is a short turn elbow. It's SDR. It does the same thing. Whoops, sorry, wrong one. No, sorry, that doesn't do it. Where the heck is it? Oh, here it is. It will do the same thing here, but this is a long turn elbow. See the difference? That's the difference in the fitting. And as you can see, it has sat in my shop for ages, how much dust is on it. This is used for like yard drainage, where you don't have to have a nice swoop of water. So if you're going to do a change of direction, say down to your vacuum system, you would use that elbow. And then go down and then hose into the vacuum, which I have the black fittings, but and there's no hub, so it's the pipe slips over each fitting like the Y. You can also use two 45s, a street 45 and a 45, which gives you the same sweep. But if you notice inside of there, you have a better flow than the elbow. The elbow is good, but this is the best to do a change of direction. $4, 3 and change for those two. And that will give you a perfect flow in a change of direction at 90 degrees. So this here, just throw it away. Don't even bother using them. We're not even going to leave it on the table no more. Then they do make 22.5. So just, you know, 90, half of 90 is 45, half of 45, 22.5, 11 1/4, 5 5/8. Those are plumbing fittings. But they do make a 22.5. So if for some reason you have a weirder angle, I'm just showing you this because you would use a street. So just say you have a weirder angle coming down off a pillar or something, you could use a 22.5. They do make them with the street, which has the male side and a female side. They do make these fittings, the elbows, in what they call a street L, which is a female and a male. So there is tons of different variations in fittings that you could use. Caps. They make SDR caps that you can now cap off. What I like to do is, if this was going to be my fit, say on the wall, and I was going to have the urethane hose, blast gate, urethane hose coming to a, I wouldn't put an elbow there, I'd put a Y there. Now you can put a short piece of pipe and a cap. But what I like to do is I like to buy what they call a 4-inch no-hub cap. So rubber neoprene cap that actually has a gear clamp on it. And it's made to cap off the end for a clean out or something. That is the best cap to use because it's actually a gasket. And it makes a perfect seal. That's what I have up there on my end. And then I also put tape around it. So that's my last, so that you want to continue, you don't have to cut into it. I'll take it apart, you just continue, put another, you got a joiner, you want to put a planer, there's your next one, your lathe, whatever. All right, blast gates. I went through different types. I even bought, I had those automatic ones when you turn the machine on, the blast gate opens. I felt them to be a horror. They're a motor, and they get dust inside of them, chip, and then they don't close all the way. They don't open all the way. Unless that thing is 10 feet away, the miter saw, boom, I pull it, cut, push it, that, pull it, use it, done. Okay, the blast gates that I use is a standard, just a standard blast. They're about $6 a piece. And then I bought brackets. You screw the bracket to the wall, and then this thing slides in. I put 2 Tech screws and it holds it in. And that held that to the wall, perfect, whichever direction I wanted. Then I found this is actually from Rockler. It's called a 4-inch stable blast gate. It actually has a bracket built onto it. And if you notice, on one, it's got a hole. Can we see the hole? Yep, there it is. See the hole? You can get the screwdriver in there to get it to the slot when you bring it up, and then you got your screws so you can put in. It goes on either side of the blast gate, and that'll hold it to the wall. I actually never used this one yet. I only use the brackets. And then again, the 2 inches of 450. Again, Woodcraft, they're 2.5 inches, excuse me. Those are the blast gates that I like to use. They're nice, plastic. They got stops to prevent these from popping out. You take them apart, blow them out. What I do is probably every 2 weeks, I take the hoses off, open the blast gate, close the other one. I take my Milwaukee blower and I put a 2.5x4 adapter and I put the 4-inch hose and blow air through it. And I just blow, blow air through it. Same with the other hose. So I also put the vacuum inside the tools and vacuum them out just to clean them. You know, I would say you get about 90% suction, especially with this one. A Vortex would give you a lot more suction, but I couldn't fit it here. It interfered with my garage door. So, the hoses that I use, and they're both bought from Woodcraft. This is a 2.5-inch urethane hose, which is actually Woodcraft brand. They come in 10-foot lengths. This box is full. It's $27.99 for 10 foot. And then this here is also bought by Woodcraft, but it's a high-tech, also a urethane hose, 10 foot, and they fit really nice. So if you buy good urethane hoses, they fit very good onto the fittings without having to either stretch them or give them a little bit heat with the heat gun. But sometimes you have to, depending on the temperature of your shop. You know, you're doing this in the middle of the winter, you know, and it's been sitting there without heat. Yeah, they're going to be cold. You're going to have to heat them up a little bit. So, and as you can see, I have 2.5-inch Ys. And this I actually keep here. I have a ton of fittings that I have at my shop, the black fittings, that I had when my first shop, like I said, they was basically almost like an octopus between this one and the one I had in my other house. All right, clamps and hangers. I have a bunch of hangers and I actually bend them for different configurations. But this is a 4-inch galvanized pipe hanger. You could buy them anywhere. You could buy them at Home Depot. Now some are going to be like this, which is a heavier metal, a much thicker metal, as you can see. This is actually for like black steel pipe, but you can see the difference in the thickness of the metal. Works just the same. And you can store them by clicking them into each other. You can get like 3 or 4 together to take up less room. And I have 1.5 inch, I have 2-inch, I carry a bunch. But basically, you're going to fits perfectly around it, and once you screw this down, it tightens in and it'll give it a nice snug fit. I like to position like either pieces of plywood or pieces of pine. I screw that to the wall and then screw this. You can also use what they call joist hanger for piping, which is a J hook. Comes down like a J, and this thing clicks in. That's what I actually have above there. I didn't use these. I use what they call J hooks. The clamps, if it's up and away and I'm not going to play with it, I use the regular gear clamps. Now, gear clamps, get decent ones. If you go to Harbor Freight and buy their, you know, special bag of a million for $5, once you put a little bit of torque on it, it jumps the gear. Buy a decent gear clamp. Home Depot sells decent ones. These, as a matter of fact, are, I think, from Home Depot. These are 4-inch. These I use up and away where I ain't getting to them. When I gonna have something like up on the machine or something that I'm gonna swap out from a 2.5 to a 4-inch, I use either the spring clamp. Remember the weight? You used to hold the weights on instead of putting the thumb thing? Similar to that. and then the thumb clamp that clamps down, and then you can unclamp it. These are great. A little expensive. They're about $4 a piece. But these, you can get like a pack of 3 or a pack of 4. These actually, I think, are, they're Rockler. Yeah, they are Rockler. And they're thumb clamps. They're a little bit thinner, but all you got to do is get it snug. And it holds on. The urethane holds on to the plastic pretty good. So, and as you can see, I keep a ton of them in here. This I keep separately because it's just too big to fit anywhere. So it actually goes in the box. So, also, you can make, now you don't necessarily have to make your fitting like this. You know, this is actually a piece that I took from my shop that we glued and we actually had to cut out. If you need a larger 90 degree, you can cut up, oh, the wrong one. You could actually use a piece of SDR pipe in between. And then that gives you a greater 90 degree bend, which is really good. And you want to also pitch your pipe a little bit. Pitch it all back towards your vacuum. I mean, the sawdust ain't going to flow like water, but it does help. It gives that suction a little bit better, you know, for flow back. Yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want. You can offset them. You can do whatever you want. Now, putting them together. If I was to jam this in right now, I would have to call my son to get them apart. We'd have to tug of war. It suctions on there pretty good. You want to use a little bit of grease. Now, a little bit of grease. And what you want to do is, well, let's do this. This thing can be cut perfectly with a chop saw. Now, this is not cut with a chop saw. Can you see all the burrs and how it's not straight? And but it was cut with a Sawzall on the job site on the grass. So once, if you do get a nice perfect cut, you clamp it to your bench, you take your Sawzall, you cut it as far as square as you can cut it. You want to deburr it. You want to take out your utility knife, go backwards with it. Don't go forwards because for one, you're going to cut yourself, and two, it gouges into the plastic. So if you have a deburring tool, it works even good. A little harder with the 4-inch, but go backwards with your utility knife. You'll actually hear it scratching. Get it? Just watch where the burrs are. Get it all off. Now, you know, we do this even with the sewer pipe. All right? So once you deburr it, take a little sandpaper to it, a little emery cloth, a file that down. Get all the burr off. Now, as you can see how the fittings go together. Now, we're going to do this piece right here. As you're putting this together, you want to use a little bit of grease. You do not want to put grease inside of the fitting. Why? Because as you insert the pipe, you're going to push the grease up into the fitting. Hello. And what's going to catch on that grease? I mean, once you get that stuff up there, you ain't getting in there to clean it. So, a little bit of grease on the pipe. Because as you're pushing the fitting on, the grease is coming back. Now, you're going to get a little bit inside. It's not perfect, but at least the grease will get pushed on the pipe. You can wipe it off nice, and then you can seal a little bit of silicone around it, or you can use just the Gorilla Tape, and that seals perfectly. Because remember, I take my stuff apart probably every 3 months, and like I take the cap off and put a vacuum hose in it, and I'll take some of the stuff apart and I'll check the tape. So if you're going to do that, then, you know, and in temperature and heat, the tape's going to get soft and it's going to come off a little bit. So other than that, with the urethane hoses, you're using the gear clamps, so basically it gives it a very good seal. So that's that. SDR 35, as you can see, it's green. Home Depot sells it 10 something a length. I think it's a 10-foot length. Now, some of the lengths that they sell may not have the hub. You may not have the hub on it. But if you're going to buy it in a 20-foot length, you're going to get, it's called a bell and a spigot end. Give you the plumbing terms. So you're going to get this hub on there so that you can put 2 pieces together. All right? So that is basically what I use, what I have used, and what I have found to be really good in durability, flow. It's inexpensive. So, all right. I hope this was helpful and answered your questions. Part 2 later is going to be how to ground it. You still get static electricity. If you notice, if you have like a shop vac or a rigid vac or whatever vac, and you're vacuuming and you look at the hose, you see there's sawdust. Festool hoses have the anti-static. They're anti-static proof hoses. They have that ground in there. You do have to ground this. Very easy. You don't have to go crazy like you do metal pipe, but you do still have to run a ground wire. And we'll go over that. I have a kit. We'll show you the kit, and I'll show you what I have done. All right, YouTube. Again, I hope this was a good video, and I'd like to thank everybody for all of the likes, all of the subscribes, and all of the comments. And if you're new to the channel, if you like the channel, please subscribe. And if you like a Mike's Woodshop sticker, again, keep sending those questions in the email. I will answer them, just like what I've done on the video with the Rikon. I'll have my email in the description below. And again, be safe and enjoy your weekend. And I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye now.